Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lena. I am a first year 3rd grade teacher in Arizona. Thank you guys so much for coming back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about my student teaching tips for you guys. I have finished my entire journey. I've graduated, I've gotten my certification, and so I thought it would be a good time to share my advice for you guys. So I came up with 10 different tips, and if you want to know more about those tips, then just keep on watching. Alright, so tip number 1 is ask questions. Ask as many questions as you guys need to help your day go by smoother. This is a new environment for us. We're going to have questions. We're going to be curious. We're going to have questions that may seem like common sense or may seem like dumb questions, and that's okay. This is something we're brand new to, and we're going to have questions. So I know I just said the word questions so many times, but it is okay to ask questions. For me personally, I asked so many questions. I remember taking a step back and thinking about how many questions I just asked and how many of those questions I could have answered on my own, but that's okay. You learn from those mistakes, I guess. Tip number 2 is take notes. Take as many notes as you need to. During the beginning of this journey, it is hectic. You're learning a lot of information at once, and so you might forget something that your cooperating teacher said that you want to make sure that you remember. And so taking notes, just jotting some here and there is a good idea. For me, I had a desk that was designated for me, and I would sit at the desk while my cooperating teacher was teaching, and I would just take notes, maybe the things that he said, the strategies that he used, whether he was walking around the classroom or not. So just simple notes that you can look back on and remember what happened. I know for me that the first couple of weeks you have to observe. You're there observing your cooperating teacher, and then you kind of jump into the phase of teaching. And so being there and observing, sitting there doing nothing is not good. So taking notes and understanding what your cooperating teacher is doing is really good. So for me, I had my own little notepad that I just would take notes in. So you should go get that. Alright, so tip number 3 is offer to help. You never want to be in a situation where your principal or your supervisor walks by your classroom and you're sitting there doing nothing. So there are those times where there isn't anything for you to do, such as there's no copies to be made, there's nothing to be passed out in the cubbies, and that's okay. But that is your time to ask your cooperating teacher if there's anything that you can do to help. So that is offering your assistance to them, and there's always something that needs to be done in the classroom or outside the classroom. So when you offer help, that just shows your cooperating teacher that you are on task, you are ready to learn, you're present, and you're just there. Alright, tip number 4 is connect and build relationships with your students. This is super important because you are walking into this student's classroom for the first time and they have no idea who you are. And so ensuring that they know who you are, building a relationship with them is something that is super important, because then you can be their teacher while also being someone that they can go to and talk to. And so that is something that's important for me, is making sure that my students look at me as their teacher, but then also someone that they can come to and talk to if there was anything ever to be wrong with anything, that they can trust me and come to me. And so that's my main goal for my students, is, you know, maintaining that friendly relationship with them, but also making sure that they know that I'm the teacher. So yeah. Tip number 5 is stay connected with your student teaching friends. So what I mean by this is, once you are finished being in the traditional college classes with them, with your professors, and you move on to student teaching, don't just like drop connection with them. You need to stay connected, whether it's student teachers who are inside your classroom, student teachers who are inside your cohort. You need to make sure that you stay connected. So I've had some friends who went to a school who didn't have any student teachers. So if you're in that situation, it's different. But if you are in a school with multiple student teachers, make sure you connect with them and you talk to them, especially if they are in the same grade level as you. It helps so much because they are going through exactly what you're going through. All the assignments that you need to do while student teaching, they're doing. If they have an idea for a lesson that maybe you can teach in your class, that's okay. So collaborating and using your student teaching friends is so helpful, because they're going through the exact same thing that you're going through. And so talking with them and ensuring that you're not alone in this journey. And so use them, and don't be afraid to talk to them and express your concerns about student teaching, because they're most likely feeling the same thing. So that really helped me and saved me, was because I had multiple student teaching friends that I would go to and talk to and maybe express my feelings or my concerns, or if I was angry or upset or happy. So it's really important that you have those people that you can talk to, because this entire journey is crazy. You're going to be feeling feeling so many different types of emotions. So making sure that you don't keep those all in and making sure that you talk to people is really important. Tip number 6 may seem very straightforward, but it is maintaining a good relationship with your cooperating teacher and staying in contact with them. So that means that you are in contact with them outside of school hours. So that's important because you need to make sure that you're planning lessons, and if you have any questions, you just need to make sure that you maintain that relationship and that contact with your cooperating teacher. So for me, we would exchange emails and text messages. So the text messages would kind of be more of an urgent thing because I knew that he would get them right away. Emails were more of a more professional type of setting, and so just making sure that you maintain that relationship with them and talking to them, because there's going to be times when you're in the classroom and it's just going to be the two of you, and you don't want that awkward silence. You don't want to just sit there in silence, and so having conversations and talking with one another is going to really help your experience, because it's not going to be something that you dread going to, or like if you go to lunch and you stay in your classroom and you don't go to like the teacher's lounge or something, you want to make sure that you enjoy your lunch and you're not just sitting in silence. And so breaking out of your shell and talking to people that you don't necessarily know, in a few months you will get to know them way closer. Tip number 7 is being able to accept corrective criticism and feedback. So what I mean by this is with the lessons that you teach to your supervisor and your cooperating teacher. So for me, my supervisor had at least 4 or 5 opportunities to come into the classroom and watch me teach, and then he would grade me off of that, and I would go into the grade book. And so with that, that's really tough because the grading rubric can be very tough on a teacher, but also there's always room for improvement. There's always something that can improve a little bit, or there's always something that goes wrong in a lesson. And so your supervisor catches that, and you have conversations with them and talk about them. So it's a really good process because you're able to reflect on your own lesson with your supervisor. If you have that connection with your supervisor, you want to make sure that you're able to express your feelings, your concerns with your supervisor. So being able to talk to them and reflect with your lesson and the things that you know that you could have done better is always good. But you can never prepare yourself for corrective criticism or feedback, but just know that when you're student teaching, they're trying to help you. They're not trying to fail you. And so with the feedback that they do give you, it's all in good hopes. It's all to benefit you and to improve your teaching skills. So never look at it as a bad thing. But there was one time where I did go home crying because of one of my observations. And I hear that happens to some people and it did happen to me, so it's okay, and it wasn't my supervisor's fault. It was the content that I was teaching, it just was a lot of things combined. So even my cooperating teacher knew that the content that I was teaching was very difficult and very hard, that even an experienced teacher wouldn't want to be observed on that type of lesson. And so that made me feel a little bit better. But those lessons will help you, and they will improve your teaching technique, because you see things and things are brought to your attention that you might have not thought of. And so it's really good to accept that feedback and be okay with it. Tip number 8 is be prepared with the lessons that you teach. So with student teaching, how it starts is that your cooperating teacher will be the lead teacher, and then you will slowly and gradually become the lead teacher. So when you're in the lead teacher position, you're teaching all day. And so you need to make sure that you're prepared for that. And so before I was completely lead teacher, I would teach lessons here and there. And so maybe one day I would teach a math lesson, and the next day I would teach an English lesson. And so I needed to make sure that I was prepared for that. I am someone who needs to be prepared. And so a couple days before that lesson, I would bring home the teacher packet for it, and I would look over it and I would study it, because walking into a lesson not knowing what you're teaching is a recipe for disaster. That is not fair for the students. It's not fair for anyone. And so making sure that you're prepared for a lesson is extremely important, and you just need to make sure that you are ready to teach that lesson and you are ready for everything. Tip number 9 is dress professionally. You will hear this from everyone, from your professors, from your supervisor, from everyone. You need to dress professionally, and they are not kidding. You are working a full-time job basically, and you need to make sure that you dress professionally. For me, I lived in a climate where it was snowing, and so I purchased leggings, and the leggings were thicker, so they weren't a thin material. I think I got them at like Costco or something, and so they were thicker, and they weren't something that looked like leggings. And so I had a bunch of those. They were mainly all black. And then I stocked up on sweaters. I went to Marshall's, I went to TJ Maxx, to Ross, and I stocked up on a bunch of sweaters. So now that I live back at home and I'm teaching in Phoenix, we don't get snow in the winter, and so these sweaters, they will be helpful because I won't be able to pile a snow jacket on. So the sweaters that I did purchase for student teaching, I can still wear them for my actual teaching job. But you need to make sure that you are prepared to dress every single day professionally. So that means that you need to make sure your hair is done, your makeup's done, or if you do wear makeup, you need to make sure that you look nice, because that does reflect on your character. There was plenty of times that I got complimented on my outfits, and it makes you feel good because you know that you're representing yourself well. And so just be prepared for that. Be prepared to have 7 outfits a week for multiple weeks on end. Of course, you can wear the same thing twice, but you know, you don't want to wear the same thing twice in a week. That kind of, you know, I felt like maybe people could see that if you only had 7 sweaters and you mix them throughout each week. No, you need more than that. You need to make sure that you're prepared and you are ready. So yeah. Alright, tip number 10, the final one and the easiest one, is to show up on time. You will have a conversation with your cooperating teacher about what time that they would like you to show up to school and what time that they would like you to leave. So my professors always told me that you are required to get to school when your cooperating teacher gets to school and to leave the school when your cooperating teacher leaves the school. And so we had a lot of questions about that because we know some teachers who would stay super late or super early, and so you know, you just need to have that conversation with your cooperating teacher, what works best for both of you. So for me, our school, like, the bell didn't ring till 8:30, and my cooperating teacher got to school around 6:45, 7 each morning, and so he said for me to be there around 7:15 each morning. And so I did that every single day. It was a no-brainer for me. I am such a morning person that I'm able to do that. I'm able to get up super early, work out, get ready, and then be at school by 7. I am not a night person, and so if I had to stay at school past 5, that would freak me out, just because I get so tired by the end of the day that being at school in the morning is just exactly what I needed. And so because we were at school so early in the morning, right when the bell rang and the kids left, we left. And so it was really nice because that was the schedule I really liked. And so for next year, I am planning on doing the same thing. I'm planning on getting there early, getting all the things I need to do in the morning, and then staying until my contract hour ends in the afternoon. And so that's really important, is finding a schedule for yourself, but making sure you get to school on time. And if you are going to be late, making sure that you have your cooperating teacher's contact information to let them know that you are late. There were times where I would show up maybe 5 minutes late, and I still felt obligated to text my cooperating teacher and let him know that I'm going to be late, because showing up late is never a good thing, and making sure that they know you're going to be there and not just not show up is really good, because they count on you being there and helping them. So then again, that talks about staying in contact with your cooperating teacher. So yeah. Alright, you guys, that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing all those tips about student teaching, and I hope that if you are going into student teaching, you take some of those tips with you. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and comment down below. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Lena Loves Teaching. I'll make sure I link it down below. But other than that, have a good day, you guys. Bye!